Welcome back to the Master Series on GAC. I'm Bill Cody, and a special one-hour celebration of the Spring 2011 inductees into the Country Music Hall of Fame. A few days after the inductions, Reba McEntire, Gene Shepard, and Bobby Braddock came to our GAC studios for an in-the-round interview reflecting on their careers and the key turning points that led to their successes. It was a little different format than what we've done in past CMA classes, so I did my best to emulate Larry King and engage them all for one cause: our mutual love of country music.
The 2011 class, I would say inductees, the class has been inducted officially now of the Country Music Hall of Fame. Reba McEntire, Robert Valentine Braddock, and Ollie Gene Shepard. How'd I do?
Pretty good, pretty good.
That's really great.
What did you find you all had in common? That you obviously knew of each other and knew each other.
We love country music.
Well, they have a lot more in common. They're females from Oklahoma.
Yeah, southeastern part of Oklahoma.
Yeah, right.
And love country music, very down-home people.
Much so.
And I could tell, very basic, good morals, and love the Lord, and country music fans.
Lord, talk on, let my husband hear you say lovable. No, I'm just joking.
Somebody's got to love us, surely.
In this group,
I always love country music.
Gene Shepard has been the pioneer, if you will, for so many women, Reba.
Absolutely.
And it occurs to me that you were making country music history, but you didn't really set out to make country music history. You set out to make a living, I would think. Am I right?
Yeah. Ken Nelson, my wonderful, wonderful producer at Capitol Records. Oh, what a great man. One of the founders of the CMA. He said there's no place in country music for women. When Hank Thompson asked him to to record me, he said, no. He said, there's no place in country music for women. He said, every band needs a girl singer. So I was a girl singer for about 10 years.
But Hank Thompson, who was at the forefront in helping you, I thought about the similarity with Red Stegall and observing you at the National Finals Rodeo in Oklahoma City years ago and saying, hey, would you be interested in me helping you out? And everybody has somebody who
I saw Red
business
Stegall
as
the
you
other night.
rise.
He looks wonderful.
Yeah, doesn't he though?
I love him.
He's a
great
sweetheart.
Yeah.
It's really neat that you can't do this by yourself. I really wouldn't want to. I couldn't. Even if I could, I wouldn't want to, because it's a lot more fun to have the friends around you and everybody working as a team. But to have somebody to give you that little boost up.
And who believes in you.
Yeah, that's very important. Gives you confidence and it helps you along. And two, it gives you the confidence when you see somebody that needs your help, then you're there to help them too.
You know, I didn't have anybody in my corner for a long time, because they'd say, you sing country music? Hank Williams Sr., his guys told him, said, this young lady wants to be a country singer. I said, I'm going to be a country singer. He said, ain't many women in country music. I said, I know, I'm fixing to change that.
Good for you. Thank you very much for doing that.
How did he respond to that, Gene? Do you recall what he had to say?
Yeah, he just, when I said that, he said, well, good luck to you, sweetheart. Turned around and walked off.
Bobby, for you, Marty Robbins?
I'd say Marty Robbins, because he was the first person to ever record a song of mine. And it wasn't a big hit, but it was in the charts, and I was thrilled to death with it. And then Buddy Killen was my publisher at what was then called Tree Publishing Company. It's now Sony Music. He really believed in me a lot, and he did a lot for me, got a lot of my songs cut. I learned a lesson. Of course, I never ended up with a successful recording career, but I learned a lesson, though. Marty told me, he said, you know, Bob, he said, you got a pretty commercial style. I want to produce you, do some songs in you. I said, oh, I'm not all that good a singer. He said, okay. And never said anything else about it. So later, Buddy Killen said the same thing to me. I said, yeah, let's go cut some songs. So I recorded for 5 major labels, which shows you how easy it used to be to get a recording deal.
Reba, what did you think you had really latched onto something and you were going to make it in this town? Was there a defining moment?
Sunday night.
Really?
When we were at the induction. It was my career has always been very small baby steps, and to get into the music business was seemed like it took forever. I was playing clubs and dance halls and rodeos and anywhere. We had a little Kiowa High School cowboy band when I was in junior high and high school, and we'd play clubs from 9 to 1 and then pass the hat from 1 to 3 and still make about $13 a piece. And it was just a lot of fun. It was education for me outside the school. And so when I got signed with Polygram Mercury Records in '76, it wasn't until the '80s when I got a #1 record. So everything went slowly, but again, that foundation was laid, and it surely wasn't an overnight success, which I thought it was going to be. I thought when you made a record, you got a big bus and you was rich. Well, I recorded a record and I was still in the truck and camper and then a van that leaked, and finally got a bus that broke down every day. And so I just didn't know when that big step was going to happen. But I think I've kind of made it now since I got inducted to the Country Music Hall of Fame.
It's wonderful.
Do you think if you came today, and Kelly Clarkson was there to pay tribute to you, among several other people, a list that we'll take a look at for all of you here in just a moment, but do you think without an American Idol, or with shelf life being so short now for artists, if you don't make it in those first 2 or 3 singles,
Wow.
you're probably looking for a new label, or it just is not going to happen for you. But you look back at that period of time, and it gave you time to grow.
Yeah.
Do you remember it being that way?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It kind of gave you time to learn the business and to kind of reach out to other people, and it took me a long time. I'm a slow learner, evidently, but I realized what I wanted to do and what I needed to do, and how to kind of stand up for myself and say, I don't really want an orchestra. I want a fiddle and a steel. That's the kind of country music that I grew up with. Yeah. And Jimmy Bowen said, well, woman, what is your kind of country? So I went home and I made a cassette tape for him of all the Ray Price and Merle Haggard kind of songs that I grew up with and wanted to sing. And he said, well, go find your own songs. I said, how do you do that? And so he sent Don Lanier with me, called him Dirt.
Dirt, yeah.
Yeah. And Dirt and I would go to publishing company after publishing company and sit and listen to songs. And each person, I guess I am a good student and I take direction well, because any time anybody would tell me to do something, if it felt good to me, I'd go do it, and it just, another little baby step. So I don't guess I would make it if I started right now, because I needed that nurturing.
Reba, what do you remember about the first time you came to Nashville? Was that when you came to play the Opry, or had you had been here knocking around, looking around?
No, we came for vacation. The one place we took a vacation, other than rodeoing, Daddy said that was enough vacation for us anyway, and would be to see the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. And I came down, and I was very young, probably 10, 17, young. And I had a dress on that my cousin had given me in the hand-me-down sack, and it was a pretty pink little dress. And we'd all gone to the Grand Ole Opry, and Aunt Jenny was sick, Alice was sick, they'd caught the flu going down. And by the time we got there, we were sitting underneath the balcony, cheap seats. And
50 cents.
yeah, and if anybody knocked over a Coke or anything upstairs, it dripped down on you. And it dripped down on your hair and your clothes and everything. And so we're from the rodeo family, and so anybody get up from the good seats down front and they kind of go to the bathroom, well, one of us would kind of get down there in the good seats until you got run off. And Mama had made her way down on the second row, and Marty Robbins is on stage, who I absolutely loved. And so I got to feeling real sick, and I walked down to Mama. I said, Mama, I don't feel real good. And she said, go find a bathroom. Didn't even look at me. She couldn't take her eyes off from Marty Robbins. And so I went ambling through the halls trying to find a bathroom, and I couldn't, and I found the front door. And I vomited on the front steps of the Grand Ole Opry. And this gentleman came over and gave me his handkerchief, and I wiped my mouth off, and he said, you can keep it.
Now that's country.
That's country. But that was about my first time to the Grand Ole Opry and to Nashville.
Bobby, you talk about growing up with these two Okies on either side of you in a rare and endangered place called Old Florida. and you talked about it in your book, Boy from Auburndale,
Yeah.
or Auburndale,
Yeah.
but you gave it the
That was a
local
local
spelling.
redneck pronunciation. My dad was a citrus grower, and WSM at night came in loud and clear. And I would listen to Ralph Emery on the Opera Star Spotlight. And as I got out of high school, I was playing in rock and roll bands touring the South. But I love country music, and I would always listen. I'd listen to Ralph's show, and I'd think, I want to be a part of that. That's where I want to go. And Nashville was always magic to me. Even the names of the streets, like Grainy White Pike, you know, and Old Hickory Boulevard. There was a magic about Nashville, and I wanted to come here very badly.
Gene, you went west first. When do you first remember coming to Nashville?
Oh, June the 19th, 1953. The
Wow.
Dear John letter was number one.
Uh-huh.
And me and Furlan come into town, and back then, you didn't hardly ever get to do an encore. And there was an old gentleman, was our stage manager, called Vito Pelletieri. Mm-hmm. Y'all remember Vito?
I remember him.
He looked like George Washington, just exactly like him. And we done the Dear John letter, and it was such an ovation. He said, go back out and do another song. Furlan started to go out with me. He said, not you, her.
Oh.
And I said, oh.
Oh,
It was kind of, but I felt bad about it, but Furlan said, no, don't feel bad about it, you know.
He was a talker at that time, and you were a singer.
That's right.
Yeah.
yeah.
I learned since then. But that was I think it was 1953.
I didn't realize how close you and George Jones were. George made the
Oh,
official
mercy.
induction for you into the Hall of Fame and talked about, you know, being this kid, literally, who got
He's older than me.
to put a guitar around his neck
Yeah,
that had Gene Shepard across it.
right.
Your custom-made guitar and playing and singing one night to get to open for you
He
somewhere
and
along
Nancy
the
sent
way.
me a couple of pictures of him playing that guitar. I gave him his first job, paid him $50 a day out of my pocket. But that was like $1,000
Yeah.
back 45, 50 years ago. And I took him out of Texas into New Mexico and Arizona, and the people loved him. I knew he was going to be a star. I really did, because he just had the look, and I knew he had what it takes, you know.
Yeah.
And also, I bought him 2 pair of blue jeans and 2 shirts. But the people that managed us owned this little Western store. And she said, go in there, and told him to go in there and pick him out a couple of shirts and a couple pair of blue jeans, which I got charged for, but that's okay. Now, I think I'm the one that might be responsible for everybody calling him Possum. I'm not sure. He got his hair cut real short one day, and he walked in, and I said, God, you look like a possum.
It was back in the flat top
Yeah.
days, but his ears kind of stuck out a little bit.
But we've been friends a long time, long time. It's been a great friendship. And Nancy, his wife, she's a doll. I love her.
She's great.
She's sweetheart.
Would he be the guy who's cut more of your songs than anyone else?
I counted them up. Tammy Wynette cut 19. George cut 29.
Mercy.
29 songs. He has a song duetting with Kenny Chesney on Kenny's current album, and that made cut number 29.
Congratulations.
That's wonderful.
When do you
Sure
first
is.
remember meeting him?
He cut a song of mine. It was a top 10 thing. It wasn't a monster thing. It was called Nothing Ever Hurt Me Half as Bad as Losing You. It just had a lot of words. Like, had a splitting headache from my eyebrow to my backbone, arthritis, appendicitis, Bright's disease, and gallstone. And it's George never singing on the road. And at the end of the record, on the fade out, you can hear him getting his tongue tangled, you know, because it was real hard to sing. And when I met him, he said, "Oh, you're the son of a that wrote that song."
I love that song.
Thank you.
Didn't the guy's eyeball get turned to jelly in that song?
Yeah, whooped on with a crowbar till my eyeball turned to jelly.
Yep.
Yeah. But when I heard He Stopped Loving Her Today, which I thought it was a good song. I didn't think it was a great song. And Curly Putman, my co-writer, and I went over to Billy Sherrill's office, and Billy played it for us. And when I heard that, I knew then that it was something special, that George's performance and Billy's production had elevated it 2 or 3 notches and made it into something. I knew then that it was going to be a big hit.
When Bill
I didn't know
Anderson-
that until I heard the recording.
When
Great
Bill
song.
Anderson inducted you, he said that you had journaled, that you'd written that song on that particular day. And in your journal, you said, I don't know.
I said, don't know, yeah, because I wasn't sure, you know, I thought it was okay, but, you know.
What's one that comes to mind that you did know? You wrote it and went, hey, this is a hit. Maybe you didn't know who was going to record it, obviously, but.
I kind of thought that Time Marches On would be a hit.
Now, your mama wanted to be the singer in the family.
Yes.
But Daddy was out rodeoing, and she was raising kids and teaching school. Am I right? And so that's where the singing around the table came so much a part of your lives.
Mama had a friend, and they were going to go to California and be a duo. And her parents were sharecroppers. And Grandpa said, no, you're not. You're going to stay here. And so when she had 4 kids, she's going to pass her dreams on to us. And that's what she told me when we were coming down to Nashville. She said that I didn't get to do this because I was balking. I kind of wanted to go. I didn't know anybody. I was leaving my rodeo family and everything I knew to go to Nashville and do something totally different. Wow. And I was stopping
But
at
if
every
you're a
little...
sharecropper's daughter, you stay till the crops are laid by.
There you go. True. And so I was just, I didn't want to really go to Nashville, and in a way I did. And she said, look, Reba, if you don't want to do this, I understand it. We can go on home. But if you go through with it, I'll be living all my dreams through you. I said, why did you say so?
Oh, yeah.
Get in the car, let's go.
You used that line in your acceptance speech, which
Yeah.
is still one of the most memorable acceptance speeches in award show
thanks.
history, no matter what format of music.
Thank you.
And that still lives with me because, as I have said to you personally, and at different celebrations of #1 records, 35 of them, by the way, for Reba McEntire today, that you inspire us all because of that story that you shared that night and where you came from and how important your family continues to be to you in making yourself proud. You're making them proud, and that's just
And
at
you're
the very
making us
depths
proud.
of-
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I was honored to be inducted with you two.
Man, I mean, I talk about being in high cotton. I mean, being inducted with Gene Shepherd and Reba McEntire,
Thanks, Bobby.
Wow.
Thanks.
And Dolly Parton showed up to do your induction.
That was the shockaroo.
Tell
for
us
me.
about the surprise. You
I
had no idea?
I should have known it was her, because with Dolly, you can smell her perfume. I told her, I said, I can smell your perfume. You saw me up at the podium. And I can smell your perfume. I love her perfume. And she said, did I have too much on? I said, no. But I was shocked. Dolly and I are good friends, and I've been down to Dollywood, and she came out to L.A. and did the Reba TV show with me for a week, and I just love her to pieces. I went to Washington when she was at the Kennedy Center Honors, and I spoke for her, and she's just a great gal.
In tribute to Reba McEntire, Tricia Yearwood and Susie McEntire got up there and did
Isn't that
Hal
sweet?
Blue, and Tricia recalled how she and her sister
Yeah.
used to sing that song.
Yeah.
Vince Gill did Somebody Should Leave, Garth Brooks, Whoever's in New England, and Does He Love You with Kelly Clarkson and Martina McBride.
My
But
buddies.
you had no idea that
No
any of
idea.
those folks were going to be there.
The only
No.
time I ever cried was when I heard your record of Somebody's Got to Leave. I was driving down Gallatin Road. I tuned up and just cried like a baby.
That's
it was wonderful.
Let me tell you the story how I found that one. Bill Carter was my manager, and he said, I want you to go over to, who wrote Somebody Should Leave? Harlan Howard, thank you. I want to take you over to Harlan Howard's house. I want you to listen to some songs. I said, okay. So Harlan put me in a leather wingback chair, and I was sitting there, and he said, I'm going to play some songs. I said, okay. He played this one song. I said, how am I going to tell Harlan Howard I don't like that song? And I said,
Come out with it.
I'm going to pass on that one. He said, okay. Played another one. I was just dying. I said, I'm going to pass on that one too. He said, okay. He played Somebody Should Leave, and I went, oh my gosh. I said, can I please have that one? He said, yes. And if I'd have taken either one of the first ones, he would have never played me Somebody Should Leave.
Wow.
Oh, my
He was
God.
testing me. I passed.
Huh.
Thank the Lord, I passed.
Wow.
He didn't want to give his baby up to a person who didn't understand and realize a good song.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about that song as you hear her recount that as a songwriter, Bobby? I mean,
Somebody Should Leave?
yeah, when you hear a song
Oh,
like
what?
that from somebody else.
Oh, what a great song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Harlan's one of my heroes. I loved Harlan. I think he was
New character.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's funny, Harlan would tell me, he says, you know, he said, I think lyrics about 90% of the country song. I said, Harlan, you've written some of the best melodies in country music. Too Many Rivers,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
No, he was great.
Yeah.
He was great. I miss him.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He told me I'd be in the Hall of Fame someday. I said, Harlan, never happened. Never happened. So I hope he's drinking all this in, or drinking something.
The pun was intended.
Yeah.
Your old daddy apparently kind of, maybe it was psychology. I'm curious as you look back to see what your answer is here. He told you, he said, well, if you're going to make it, you're going to make it as a singer because you're an okay barrel racer, but
Well,
singing's where it's at for you. And you said it kind of made you mad.
Bill, that was not as nice as he said it. He said, Reba, why do you always want to do something you're not good at? Now, is that pretty blunt? Well, that kind of hurt my feelings. But he meant I wasn't good at rodeoing.
Right.
I wasn't a good rider. I loved it with all my heart. A relationship with a horse, you know, it's just so much fun to be out there riding, and he's your best friend. And Daddy said that to me, and I thought, maybe I ought to think about this. But ever since first grade, they'd say, who wants to sing a solo? My hand just shot up. I always wanted to sing. And that's the best attention I ever got. You know, I was always not bad trouble, but
How old were you when you first thought, I want to be a singer?
I was in the first grade.
Wow.
That's the first time I ever got behind a microphone.
You knew that when you were like 6 years old. How about you? I'm not taking your job.
No.
But it is. I've got so many questions I want to
I
ask
used to
y'all.
sing on my mother we had wash tubs where she scrubbed the clothes, you know, and I'd get out on her wash bench and I'd set the tubs down and I'd sing and yodel. My brothers and sisters they'd throw big old clods of dirt at me. Boy, you stink, you know.
Really?
I was probably 8, 9 years old.
Wow.
Shift gears just a little bit emotionally here. I find it ironic that a plane crash figured so prominently in both your lives and claiming the life of your husband, Hawkshaw Hawkins, in '63, along with
Patsy and Copus.
Cowboy Copus, the pilot Randy Hughes, and then your band and road manager in San Diego in the early '90s. And I just found
I felt for her. I felt for her.
The two of you
prayed heavy.
As much as you have in common with the wonderful successes and jubilation of your careers, that you share that in common.
Yeah.
And have you talked about that at all?
No, and I
Not
didn't
really,
know.
because we hadn't really seen one another a lot.
And I didn't know the circumstances for you, 8 months pregnant.
I had a 15-month-old child and was 8 months pregnant again.
Wow.
It was a rough time, but I survived because, as I said out there, you know, I'm like a hair on a grilled cheese. You know?
You were meant to survive.
It was, well, for a long time I didn't realize that how big country music was, maybe, but it was rough being one of the first women. It really was. Somebody asked me, said, who was your, you know, who did you like, who was the lady? I said, Kitty Wells. They said, who? I said, Kitty Wells. They said, who else? I said, Kitty Wells. But
yeah.
So how did you and Hawkshaw meet?
At the Ozark Jubilee in Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
And then me and Benny met, and that was it. It was over.
And you've been married
43 years.
Oh, that was
Almost
over
44,
40
yeah.
years.
10 kids and 25 grandkids later.
And Reba, you kind of did the same thing. You dropped out as far as touring and day-to-day things and kind of buried yourself in an album project and then started moving forward. But I've heard you talk about how Narvel was making those phone calls that day.
And we came back to Nashville that night, and
You
Narvel
were
asked me.
completely undone. I mean, you just...
Yeah. The next morning, he kept asking me, was I going to sing at the Oscars? And I was supposed to sing a song called, well, it's from Postcards from the Edge. Postcards from the Edge, the Shirley MacLaine movie. And because Meryl Streep was pregnant and was not going to be at the award show to perform, and they had asked me to sing that song. And I told them I couldn't do nothing. I didn't want to do anything. And I was sitting at my vanity that next morning, and it was just like they all told me, go do it. Go do it for us. And I just had the most peaceful feeling come over me. And I walked back in there and I said, I'm going to do it. And Narva said, are you serious? I said, yeah, I think they want me to do it, and I'm going to do it for them. And the song was, I'm checking out of this Heartbreak Hotel.
Oh, God.
Oh.
I thought it was very fitting. And that gave me the strength to continue because I felt I had their blessing and their encouragement to say, go on. And we believe, Narvel and I do, that everything happens for a reason. We don't know what the reason is. Have no idea. I'm going to be asking lots of questions when I get up there.
That's why I love that old Pentecostal song, farther along we'll know more about it, farther along we'll understand why, you know. All those questions to be answered. Yeah.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, patiently, but still waiting.
Bobby, who encouraged you? I'm always interested for writers in particular. There's maybe a teacher somewhere along the way that recognized your creative ability in school, or was that not the case? Is it something that came to you later in life?
You know, it's a weird thing. I have a brother about 4 years older than me, and he and his friends, they listened, we called it hillbilly back then. That's what we called it. And they loved hillbilly music, and it was, you know, they were listening to Hank Snow and Carl Smith and all that. And I was about 10 years old, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and I thought, I don't like that stuff. I could write those songs. And when rock and roll came along, I was in junior high school. Elvis, I loved that. And then I started listening to Johnny Cash because I thought that was the same kind of music as Elvis. And then all that crossover stuff, then I started liking country music. And then I went back and started listening to the stuff my brother was listening to, like Hank Williams, and fell in love with it. And then I started writing it. I started writing, and I thought then, when I was 16 years old, I thought, I want to do this, you know.
And you and Hank Williams in the Country Music Hall of Fame.
I'm in the Hall of Fame with Hank Williams,
That's something.
who died when I was like 11, 12 years old. Yeah.
God, you're old.
He's one of my heroes, though. He's one of my
I
role
loved him.
models. Yeah.
I realize maybe the best song you've ever written may not be your favorite song. Split those two up for me. Maybe the best song as a songwriter, if you're in a group of songwriters who are critiquing your work, and then just your favorite.
It's a song most people never heard. Well, George Strait recorded it. He had an album called Carrying Your Love With Me. The song's called The Nerve. And I think it's the best song I ever wrote. When Bill Anderson heard it, it's the biggest compliment I ever had on a song. Bill Anderson heard The Nerve, and he got tears in his eyes. And he said, I think that's the best song I've ever heard.
Wow.
I thought, I'll never get a compliment like that again. Never been a hit. They were going to put it out as a single, and they said, well, it's a little strong for a first single. Let's put it out as a second single, third single. Never came out. But my favorite hit that I wrote was Time Marches On.
Gene, what about you? As you think back, just a favorite moment?
Favorite song?
or
Probably Mom and Dad's Waltz.
Lefty Frizzell.
Lefty Frizzell. I'd walk for miles, cry or smile for my mama and my daddy. That's just good. I don't know. It says a lot. And I would walk a mile for my mama and daddy.
Sure.
Take just a second, each one of you individually. Look into that camera. Look into the faces of, into the lives and living rooms of country music fans across America and what they have meant in this crowning achievement, induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame to you.
You see this? I wouldn't have this around my neck if it wasn't for you. And that's the honest to God truth. Mom and Daddy had me, but if it wasn't for the fans out there, the people who day in, day out request the songs on the radio stations, go to the stores and buy it, now get online and download, I'd still be singing in the shower.
Bob?
Well, if it weren't for the people who love country music, I don't know, I probably would have been working in my daddy's orange grove, you know. I mean, they mean everything, you know. Without them, it'd be nothing. Thanks.
I won't pick no more cotton. I might chop a little bit, but I won't pick no more cotton. The CMA has been wonderful, and I thank them, the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But most of all, I thank the country music fan because y'all made it all possible. I know y'all bugged the Country Music Hall of Fame, but thank you for it anyway.
When I was in high school, sometimes I'd get in fights because people would say something, you like that country music, you know? Get my dander up, because I love it. When I fell in love with country, it's like falling in love with a girl, you know? I mean,
Yep.
just,
Let me tell
it's
you.
forever thing.
When I was in high school, we wanted to play country music. Me and Gene Breeden and Norman Hammond, who works with Haggard, but we didn't have anybody to teach us. So our school made it possible for us to have a country music class and get credit for it. And
Mine too.
Really? Oh, that's wonderful. And the music teacher said, well, I don't know nothing about it. I said, I'll sit in there and conduct it, you know, just watch it. And it was an accredited class for 8 or 10 years till we all graduated and nobody knew anything else.
Same with us.
Somebody asked
That's
me
wonderful.
That is.
the best college for country music, and I would say Hank Williams Junior College, probably.
Do what?
Hank Williams Junior College. A joke.
Gene, say what?
Okay.
I'm Bill Cody, and I am among royalty in country music, the 2011 class of inductees into the Country Music Hall of Fame. The great Gene Shepard, Bobby Braddock, and Reba McEntire. I can't tell you how much this means to me, and I know to viewers who are watching here on GAC. Thank you all.
The class I'm in is real class.
Class indeed. And the class of 2011, the Country Music Hall of Fame. Congratulations one more time to Bobby Braddock, Gene Shepard, and Reba McEntire. Thank you all so much for coming to the studio and making great television and sharing memories that will last a lifetime. This has been a special presentation of the Masters Series on Great American Country. I'm Bill Cody.